Honey, what are you thinking?
What's going on? How's everybody doing? Welcome to another Questions Ladies Wanna Ask podcast. I kind of stomach there. So, welcome. It's another show. It's another episode. And today, I'm talking about our preferred body type, or my preferred body type. And when I say mine, I'm speaking for myself and all the other like-minded men. So grab something. You can grab some popcorn if you're into popcorn. A drink probably to keep you busy. Now, if you're working, no problem. You can keep working. Quite frankly, since it's not a video, you can just keep doing whatever you're doing and just tune up the volume a little bit just so you get everything. I'm sure you're probably just ready for it. So, ladies usually want to know, do guys have a preferred body type? Is there a body type that we actually love more than the other? And here, this is not a question that you can just say, oh yeah, all guys love this or all guys love that. Just like everything else, there are differences. Some guys prefer some body types and some guys prefer others. That's why I usually tell you what I prefer, because I speak for a good number of men who think like me, and then I give you what most of my friends and other men think and what they prefer. So basically, I've given you an overall look of how we think and what we prefer. And with that, let's get right to it. Disclaimer here first. I'll kick it off with a disclaimer. My opinion or preference does not in any way carry the intention to body shame or even offend. If I mention something that might sound like body shaming or offensive, please forget about that. That's not my intention. I'm just speaking out as honest as I can be, as honest as I always am. And with that, so first, personality, what we love. We are not going to talk about personality here. This is all about the body. I've mentioned in previous podcasts, we don't always just look at the body, because if it's just the body and the face, and then somebody has maybe not a very nice personality, it wouldn't go anywhere. So we always factor in everything. But today, I'm not talking about everything else. I'm just talking about the body type that we love, or the body type that most of us tend to go for. So I'll veer away from talking about personality here, not talking about how much our personality matters, although it does matter, but in this case, no, I'm not going to talk about that. Today, the focus is purely on the preferred body type. In the past, I've been attracted to girls or ladies who are not necessarily of the kind that I would normally be inclined to. But on several occasions, or after I interacted with some of them, I kind of raised my eyebrow. I was impressed. But that's after the interaction. What I'm saying here is sometimes I have a preferred body type, which I'll mention in a minute. But in the past, I've realized that sometimes I tend to, once in a while, get interested in a lady who has a slightly different body type from what I like. But this usually comes in after we've interacted. Before we've interacted, I'm not necessarily sexually interested in her. But after a while, maybe after we interact, I kind of find her attractive or interesting. Yeah, I wanted to clear that up first. That was on the part of personality, which we are not going to talk about today. And so, some of it was maybe some of them were beautiful. Maybe she didn't have the body type that I prefer, but probably on the face she was beautiful. Or maybe she was just well put together, like a bubbly personality, and it helped to make up my mind. Yeah, and some of the ladies just happened to be funny. Yeah, I know at first hand, most ladies may not come off that way, but this one, I know a certain lady who she had a way with humor. She was herself, and it was stirring. So no matter which body type you are, just remember to be yourself. Because there's always something else about you. It's not just about your body type. Always be yourself. That piece of advice is just, it's the best piece of advice you can ever take from anybody else. So I know most guys go crazy with the boob size and the bum. Personally, boob size just normal. I'm not a huge fan of big boobs or anything of the sort, so just normal works for me. And I've dated girls with smaller chests, and it never troubled me. Like, I was so comfortable with it. I loved it the way it was. I just loved it. I remember one specifically, and she was beautiful. She actually, I won't go into that. It's a little bit, it's too much detail. So let's move on. But meanwhile, I had a friend who wanted ladies I loved, and I usually went after ladies with a smaller chest or smaller boobs. A friend of mine, he really wanted the ladies with extremely big ones, like really big boobs. For me, no. I was not into that, but he loved it. So you see the difference here. I loved the smaller boobs, he loved the bigger ones. But it never really mattered, because at the end of the day, one thing was certain for both of us: we still loved the bum. Yeah, both of us, the bum was just like, hey, she got it. I mean, not obviously not big or anything massive, but it just had to be there. Just something to hold on to. Yeah. So I liked to have something to work with. For me, when I'm talking about the butt, I liked when a lady has a nice behind. I remember I didn't say big, I just said nice. But it turns out every lady has a bum, basically. If you don't know that, I'm letting you know right now. Every single lady has a bum. Even the most petite or maybe anorexic lady, a lady always has a bum. You just haven't seen her naked. When you see her naked, believe me, she has it. You might take a different position during sex, but the bum is always there. Believe that. So I've never met a lady who didn't have a beautiful butt, a beautiful behind when naked. All of them, all ladies got it. And so that's really also not a big deal for me. The butt, most ladies have it. So it's never like something I tend to hope it's there, and quite frankly, I can always tell it's there. Based on the kind of ladies I've always gone for, they've always had a butt. Even though she might have approached me from the front or I approached her from the front, I kind of just know it's there based on her body shape. Yeah, based on her body type, I could tell she has it. So I'm okay with most sizes. But however, I find myself more inclined towards a lady who's all around average. No extremes, just a personal tendency. Don't judge me for that. I just like mostly just average. On average, I'm trying to put it like no extremities. I don't want either the far left or the far right. No. That's just how I feel. That's just how I like it. Anyhow, I have dated every other body size, but mostly I tend to stick to the average ones. The average body size, I love that. Most guys do have a type, but once they get to know anyone else, like they will get to know a different lady, if they get to interact, the body type thing just goes right through the window. Like they just forget about it, because in most time the interaction sheds some light on who she actually is, and most guys tend to fall in love with her. And in that period of time, or just like her, it might not be love at the first instance, but with time, they tend to see there's something deeper about her, and most guys are always looking out for that. Yeah. Moving on. All in all, I know we love a little bit of curves in the right places. I mean, a nice butt and an average pair of boobies fits the bill for me. Nice butt, nice, just average pair of boobs. I'm good. I love that. So, women are sexy, and that turns us on a lot. Guys are just turned on by, ladies are sexy, beautiful creatures. I've mentioned before, I think I've mentioned it a couple of times, how the way you dress really matters. So looking good for your body type makes all the difference. Ladies, I can't emphasize this enough, just know your body type. Some ladies tend to dress for, maybe you're petite, you dress for a bigger body size, or you're bigger and you dress for maybe the hourglass shape or something, so it kind of messes up the how you look like. And if only somebody dressed for their body size and their body type and the shape, it would just be exquisite. You would be beautiful, much better than what you might be trying out right now. That's all I always say. Just try it out. Give it a chance. You have nothing to lose. So, personally, given a chance between a curvy lady and a slim one, let me see, same or let's say I have a chance. I have a choice between a curvy lady and a slim one, and they both have the same personality. I'd love the slightly curvy one. Again, it's just a preference, and that's my honest opinion. I'd usually go for the. Remember, when I say curvy, I don't mean big. I mean curvy, like she has the curves in all the right places. But remember, before I mentioned average, so that's just a preference. That's what I love. I've dated an hourglass. Remember, I'm mentioning these body types because I know you already know them. But if you're not sure, you can just Google them. Just Google lady body types on Google. You should get the images. So there's hourglass, there's diamond, there's round, there's triangle, and inverted triangle. Yeah, I've dated most of the ladies who fall into that category, and they were awesome. But this is just one exception. I haven't really dated. Quite frankly, I can't say I haven't dated any of them. But the rectangle shape, I can't remember any of them. There was one, but I just really wasn't feeling it. We were trying it out because he was introduced to me by a friend, but I wasn't feeling it. It was the rectangle shape. So it's just, I wasn't into that. And one of my previous girlfriends, she was a pear. So smaller chest. I loved her. So I guess all the above mentioned, the ones I mentioned before, the aforementioned, no problem. Yeah, apart from maybe just the rectangle. I haven't dated enough of rectangle body types. It's kind of like we're just not attracted to each other. Friends, colleagues, yeah, I've got friends who have that body type. Yeah, a couple of them, yes, but dating them, no, not really. And I have several other friends who have that body type. We've just never actually dated. The one that my friend introduced me to, I kind of had to introduce her to a different friend of mine who I kind of had a feeling they'd work out pretty well, and they did work out pretty well for just a few, not that long. It's not like I was counting, but yeah, for a couple of months. He kind of liked the rectangle, the ladies who have that body type. So I kind of made the introduction because it just wouldn't work out with me. I knew that, and she knew. We kind of felt it. We were friendly. We friend zoned each other. Yeah. So moving on, there are boobs guys and bad guys. There are boob guys and bad guys. Boob, the boobies and the butt, the behind. So the other body parts are usually just extras. Most guys usually go for either the boobs, the butt, of course the face. We'll talk about that later. The three main factors most guys look for, but usually the boobs and the butts. You can put most guys in both of those categories. Either both, they maybe want both, or some just really care about one or the other. The other body parts are they're just additional. Nobody really cares much about them, unless it's somebody who really pays attention to all that. And men rarely pay as much attention as ladies do to whether you've lost some weight or piled a little bit extra. We rarely see it. We rarely even see that much. We rarely notice the changes. And if we do, we rarely care. Like, it's not a huge problem. Not the way ladies take it. Like, oh man, I might have lost a lot. I've gained a little bit of weight. For us, it's all good. You still look great. That's why when you ask us, we don't really feel the same way you feel about it. We don't find it like it's a huge problem or anything. We're just okay with it. And it's not that we don't care, not that we don't love you, but because it's just nothing major. We generally look at usually just at three things: boobs, butt, and the face. Of course, nobody needs to have all three of those, not really. So you might have all three, but maybe it comes with an awful personality. That's not gonna work out. It won't matter how good you look. You can have big boobs, you can have And some guys will be fighting for that, right? Will be fighting for your attention based on what you got. Or you can just have the butt and nothing but the butt, and still males will be like clamoring for your affection. Same thing with the boobs. If it's just the boobs, you'll still find guys who just wanna get your attention. Same thing. Or maybe you might just have a face and still you might just have the face and still have guys baying for a piece of you. So it's just nature making sure that everyone is factored in. The whole universal plan of human relationships is that everybody has somebody. There's somebody for everybody. There's someone for everyone. So you don't always have to have all the three, the butt, the face, and the boobs. You can have one or two. If you got three, awesome, great. If you got one, great. If you got two, still great, no problem. So whatever you have, work with it. There's always somebody out there. All right. So, but usually deep in our subconscious, some of us would be okay with just most body types. But the fear that the lady might be insecure or maybe lack confidence in herself pushes us to those body types that seem to radiate confidence. There's some ladies who just seem to be more confident based on a particular body size or body type. So that's what we usually want to go for. Why? Because we don't want insecurity. We don't want a lady who's not confident in herself. So yeah, we tend to go or be attracted to those we see confidence in. If personally I was to come across a rectangle body type, nicely dressed for her size, like her type of body, take a look at some of the female celebrities we have with rectangle body types, and I wouldn't be able to keep my hands off of them. I know my body type, my preferred body type is usually the pear. I can still talk about that later. The pear, the body type, that kind of body type. But if I met most celebrities, even the ones who have the rectangle or inverted rectangle, they always know how to dress for their body type. So they still come out looking great, awesome, sexy, all of that. So usually you just need to know what body type you are, and you're pretty much sorted out. There's somebody who will always love that. I mean, have you seen Gwen Stefani? She looks great. Yeah, tell me about it. You'd never guess her body type based on how she dresses, because she always dresses for her body type, and it comes out pretty awesome. And actually, most men would never actually know based on how you dress. They never really guess your kind of body. They'll just see you looking great and awesome. Yeah. So the way you dress matters. It gets our attention, guaranteed. And at the most basic level, like knowing what works for you, like look at Jada Pinkett Smith. She knows how to put everything quite nicely, petite or not, big or not. Finding your style is just about everything. And again, a personal story. I know a guy who says he loves his women like he loves the violin. The shape of the violin, like curvaceous with that small waist and all that. You got him. If you got that, let me know. I'll let him know. He probably can't wait to see you or meet you. Yeah. And moving on from the violin and the body type and the shape of the violin. So he kind of really loves that shape. Of course, for him, it comes with a small waist. And that's where I usually draw the line, because that's usually more to do with the hourglass. The hourglass has the small waist, something that I don't really fancy, that very little waist. Sometimes it comes off a little, how can I put it? Not for everyone, but sometimes it seems a little bit unnatural for me if it's super, super thin or super small waist. So the natural one, no problem. If it just looks natural, but super, I think I saw a video before of a lady in Asia. She had a super, super thin waist. So from that time, that memory kind of stayed with me. So I still prefer the pear rather than the hourglass. But basically, those two are pretty almost the same thing, because you got the hips, the thighs. They're pretty, they're very shapely, very shapely. Back to the point. Where was I? So Part of this might be like I heard like scientists did a lot of research. They've been doing a little bit of research, not quite a lot, and it's different scientists, and they found that for men they're usually looking at basically at the most basic level. They're looking at perpetuating their lineage. So that hourglass body type, or a lady with a rectangular shape but dressed in a way to create the impression of curves, will seem to the man like a soundmate, like somebody he might want to get with, or date, or get together with. Why? Because nature is telling him she's more than capable of ensuring the survival of his children and therefore his bloodline. Remember, that's innate, or at a deeper level, or subconsciously. That's what most guys are looking for. They just want to make sure the lady they get with in the future, she can basically raise the kids. She's capable of that and ensuring the survival of his children. So to put it the same way, ladies usually look for a mate they find to be probably have heard of dominance, or dominant, or strong enough to give her to father strong kids. Yeah. So besides literally all supermodels, no, actually I meant to say besides basically all the supermodels on the planet, if they're supermodels, they usually have the rectangle shape, but you don't see them without like a guy at any point in time. They always have a date. They're always dating. They're some of the most sought after women. So the thing is, as much as some guys might not be into the rectangle shape, it depends on who it is and how they dress for it. The rectangle is what most supermodels are. That's the basic shape for the supermodel. So, and those are supermodels. I mean, I've said that like 3 times. Naomi Campbell and the rest of them. So, and they're hot. Most guys can't wait to put their hands on a supermodel. But when you mention the body type, they kind of get confused. But the thing is, the supermodels are good at one thing: dressing up for the part. They know how to dress based on their bodies, and they come out looking awesome. So just don't dress the part. Just don't dress for the fun of it. Sometimes it's to look good. Just dress the part to look good. You don't need to do something you feel is not you, but it never really hurts to try. It never hurt anybody. You might actually come out loving it, so give it a shot. Try something different. Try something that would probably have a different effect on who you are. You might end up loving it more, and furthermore, like we mentioned before, it's improvement. You're improving, you're getting better. Let's break it down. Different point, moving on. Question was, what's our preferred body type? So I'll simplify a little bit. Between the 3, I'll simplify, and instead of all the body types I mentioned before, the inverted triangle, the triangle, and all of those, now I'll break it down to just 3 to make it a little bit simpler and to have a mental image that you can hold on to as we move on. We can have thin, average, and curvy. So on thin, I'm talking about thin should have probably the rectangle, and in other words, it's petite. That's thin. I'll put that as thin. Average will be just the normal, most body types. Usually on average, not too big and not too small. So we'll give it average with a little bit of curves. And the third one we mentioned should be curvy. So curvy, you're not necessarily getting into big or BBW, but you're very close to that. That's why I put that's the 3 of them. So we have a good way to think about it and a good way to envision it and to see it. So I'll give you 10 seconds, maybe 10 seconds to guess. Which one do you think is my preferred body type between the 3? Think about it. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So, what do you think between thin, average, and curvy? If you guessed thin, you're wrong. If you guessed average, you're right. Right, you're right. It's average. I'm going for average. Why, you ask? It kind of tells me a lot about her. When a lady has the average body size, I can already tell a lot about her. Not facts, not that I know her already, but there's a lot of, you can call them assumptions, but there's a lot of stuff I believe to already be true just based on what I see and based on her body size. Not that I know her personality already, but just based on her body size, there's a lot that I can come up with. Like usually, I'll assume that she kind of takes care of herself. Remember, not to mean that any other body type doesn't, that the lady doesn't take care of herself. Remember, I'm just saying what I'd assume or what I've come to believe when I'm looking for a girl. So number one, I'd assume she kind of takes care of herself. Remember, there are ladies who might be having a condition. I know a friend of mine who suffered from, I think, her body. She would, I think it was something to do with absorption. Of her body absorbs the food way too fast. So no matter how much she eats, she can't have the kind of body she wants. So those are exemptions. And remember, this is just me and on average what I'd go for. So don't take it any other different way or anything. Oh, I don't know about that. So back to this. So usually I assume she takes good care of herself if she has that average body. So number two, she's just a normal type of chick, no matter how weird that sounds. I know it might sound a little bit weird, like, and there are others normal? What do you mean normal? Normal, I mean just like me. Normal is another word for average, like an average guy, because I'm not big or too small. But maybe you'd think different, but generally that's, so I'm looking for somebody who has just about the same body type that I have, but for a girl, for a female, because I'm male, so slightly different. And probably because most times those are the kind of girls I've tended to attract, the kind of ladies I've attracted in the past. And I probably just want someone along the same wavelength as yours truly, me. You can call it different names, instinct, but generally those are the kinds of girls I've in the past had most success with, or excuse me, the ones I kind of had mutual attraction to. I was attracted to them, they were attracted to me. So it just worked out. And I've basically been doing the same thing ever since that. And it works pretty well for me. So, and usually for flings, if it was just a fling, for flings I go all over the place. I've had all the three, the curvy, the thin, the average, but I stayed in relationships much longer with a girl with average body size. We just tend to stuck together much longer for whichever reason. So it applies to me and other like-minded men. Others like me, basically. So remember, it doesn't apply to every other man out there. That's me and guys who think like me. Let's move on to muscular. On muscular bodies, there are ladies who have muscular bodies. Some are slightly toned. I don't know about like big, like I'm talking muscular is just like the body's well defined. You can tell the muscles. She's been working on herself. I was looking for something like Hulk, like not big as Hulk. You know, guys, like there's a name for body types for most wrestlers. Not just toned, not muscular. Like somebody like Brock Lesnar, he's a kind of big guy. So ladies like that, for me, it's just a huge no. No, I just have never been attracted to that. The typical muscular, like visible biceps, triceps, abs, calves, and all that. Like the abs, they're pretty sexy. When not all ladies have abs, but I've found the ones I've found with abs, usually the very athletic ladies. It was pretty cool. It looked awesome. Looked sexy. But the big build, like bulky, muscular, it just doesn't float my boat. Yeah, I don't want ripped, like crazy ripped. No, remember I'm talking about me, so I don't want that crazy ripped. I just want a normal girl. And some guys will cringe at that average woman body. Because I'm out here saying, oh, I want the average body. Some guys will cringe at that, like, what are you talking about? Because some guys want that muscular body, some want that BBW or bigger, much bigger body. So for me, it's just usually just the average. And I know, yes, some of us just love it like that. There is nothing against working out or toning. It's just awesome. Just for me, just don't build a lot of heavy muscle. Don't bulk up. Don't be too heavy. Yeah, and no, I don't think or even feel that she'll be jeopardizing my masculinity. I know some guys are saying, or some ladies are saying, oh, he'll just feel intimidated because she's more muscular, or he'll feel intimidated because she's more ripped, she got the abs and all that. No, I love Mona Lady, abs and all that. Great. I don't mind. It's nothing to do with feeling like my masculinity comes into question. No, I'm solid on that. I'm all good on that. I have no problem with that. Just, I love just having the average kind of girl. Feels great. Just my cup of tea. I mean, you can't take away my cup of tea. I'm not going to take yours, so stay on your side. I mean that. Alrighty then, let's move on. So, to carry it short, sometimes I just want a woman like basically it's like the women I grew up seeing, or they were normally just average, good-looking women who naturally proved to be more than capable girlfriends and wives, and they proved to be good mothers too. The ones I saw, right? The ones I saw growing up, they were just average looking. So you can blame it on my environment, on how I grew up, because I grew up with most ladies who want that average body type. So don't blame me, blame the environment. I'm not shifting blame, but yeah, that's just the way it is. We're, to a certain level, we are, there's something, we are not servants, but there's something to do with it, not slaves of our environment. There's a word for it. I'll get that later. Oh, we are products. That's the word I was looking for. We are products of our environments. Yeah, to a certain level, yeah, I believe that. To a certain degree. So, yeah, I was influenced by that. Moving on. The big girl. We are now talking about the big girl. We've talked about the muscular girl. Now we're on the big girl. If you forgot the question, let me refresh your memory. Let me flood your memory with the question one more time. It was as simple as, what's your preferred body type? Right? What body type do I prefer? So we've talked about I just mentioned, or I mentioned before, I'm usually more into the pear shape rather than, I kind of liked the hourglass. I mentioned that before, but I found the fact that most guys were really into the thin waist. I wasn't so deep into making sure that the lady has that thin, small waist. So I'm more into the pear. Pear just looks good, as long as it's not big, just pear. The shape, it's beautiful. You got the boobs, nice pair of boobs and nice butt. Yeah. I'm not objectifying ladies, no. I'm just saying what I like. I got the right to say what I like. All right, let's move on. The big girl. Now we just covered muscular. Now we're on the big girl. So the big girl. With big girls, I mean the BBW and anything bigger than that, and something around that, sometimes bigger. I've not really dated a lot of them. Not really. I've had a lot of friends, female friends who are that body type, but we've never really dated. Like I mentioned, I've mostly dated the pear-shaped. So the reason why probably I never actually worked out well with them is I'm average build, and I find them best for other guys, the guys that really love that. So we've just never connected on that level. Yeah, actually, it's like we have some sort of silent language with them, like with the big girls and the thin girls. Remember, also we divided into thin, big, thin, average, and curvy. So it's like we just communicate silently, like, oh, I'm not into you, or I'm not into you, but we can be friends. So yeah, it always clicked like that. But every time I've hanged out with my friends, including in spots like clubs, maybe raving or something. I remember I had a friend when we were approached by a group of girls, a group of beautiful ladies, but I got, you see, just attraction naturally, just like I mentioned before. I got the pear-shaped girl. A friend of mine got the hourglass one, another one got the curvy girl, and all that. It's kind of like they know who to come for, yeah, and they know what they want. Girls are just smart, man. Like so smart. Thank the heavens, ladies are that smart. Like they just know this one might like me, this one will probably like me, and this one will like me. Man, I love that. It was awesome. Yeah, so talk about being lucky. Maybe it's luck. Maybe it was just the ladies being super smart, smarter than us, and they got it right. So I got the one I liked, and or the one I'd have preferred way before I knew that they were coming and all that. So I rarely get the slim girl or the big girl. Again, thank heavens, because I'm more into the average girl. So also, maybe the universe just tends to give us what we want. So I got or usually get the exact girl I'd want. Thank you, universe. Thank you. Appreciate that. So, moving on. We've covered the big girl too. Now we'll move on to the pear-shaped versus hourglass, because that's where I tend to prefer. Most times I prefer a lady who's either of those two, but I always tend to go for the pear shape, like I mentioned. So pear shaped, the pear is a fruit, Pear, just in case, I'm just putting it out there, versus the hourglass. I go for, or you want to guess? I have already mentioned, so you don't really need to guess. So I generally just go for the pear shaped, any day, anytime, any night. This is, in other words, curvy, and it makes me imagine a lot of things, especially stuff that has to do with the bedroom. When I see that pear shaped, generally I tend to think a couple of steps ahead. I don't just think about, oh, she's gonna be an awesome girlfriend, or oh, we're gonna, no. I'm already thinking it like sexually, and that's what drives me. Like, whoa, I like her. That's how I know I'm attracted to her. If I can see myself in that position with her, then it's definitely a go. It's a tick. What am I talking about? It's the sex appeal. It's a huge factor for us, for guys, for men, and that pear shape for me just does it. Just does it. Hourglass, great, but given a chance between those two, the pear and the hourglass, you know where I stand. Pear. Any day, anytime. It sends me a message that not only is the woman like, not only is she the kind of woman that I want, but she's the one who has everything well put together. Remember, in my eyes, that's what I'm looking for. So yeah, and it also kind of sends me another message that she's gonna be a lot of fun in the future, and I can definitely see myself with her. There's something about a super thin waist that I haven't quite got my finger on. Like I mentioned, I saw a video. It didn't. The lady, to me, kind of looked a little weird. I'm telling you, the waist was super small. Like, I don't know if it was surgery or something. The waist was super tiny. So her face kind of looked a little bit weird to me, because yeah, I don't know what they did about that. I guess it's the fact that most guys take the really small waist to be super sexy. So yeah, I think she went for that type, and most guys were head over heels for her. Yeah, it happens. Different types, different preferences, different tastes. It's good for them. They love that. Great for them. I also have my own type. So yeah, I just want the average, because it's just, to me, it's just beautiful and all natural. Yeah, and so pear shape for me, definitely. I'm not leaning, and by here I mean don't lean more into the big. No, just average, as much as possible on the lean. If you'd rather, you can move towards the lean, average lean, not average big. But either is okay as long as she's average. Remember, pear doesn't mean big, or at least to me, it doesn't mean big. It's just pear. I have a friend who had a funny reason for loving curvier girls. For him, he loved curvier girls compared to the petite girls. And his reason was quite funny. This is not the guy I mentioned before, not the violin one. This is different. And for him, he says they're just nicer to touch and feel. He loves having the bigger girls, the curvier girls. He says he loves feeling them and touching them feels great for him. So that's his reason. You see, we all got different reasons. We all have different reasons why we like what we like. Another friend prefers petite. His reason? He loves how well put they are. He says they're just well put together. So he said they're easy to move around, whatever that means. And in his words, those are his words. Not like he'd have a problem with moving heavier girls, if we're using the word moving, because he's pretty well built and muscular. But sometimes I just see it as a law of opposites. He's a big guy, but he loves the petite girls. And it works out pretty well for him. He's always dated petite girls. So you see, when we're hanging out, we got a little bit of everything. We're a mixed group of everybody, every body type. And remember, no body bashing, and no whatever else you might want to think about. No, this is just a man speaking for himself and for, as I always say, other like-minded men. And with that, I'ma call it quits. Until next time, stay safe. Bye-bye.